All right, let me get this zoomed in so I can actually see it. Okay, we are starting a new chapter this week, and today's lesson is respecting others, and this is from chapter 8. And what you'll learn in this chapter is what it means to respect yourself and others, why respect is important in daily life, what can happen when respect is lacking in your life, how to develop self respect, and ways to show respect at home, at school, in your community, and for the environment. The words that you need to look up for this chapter are community, empathy, graffiti, prejudice, respect, stereotype, tact, and vandalize. Okay, and I was asking earlier, the other class I was talking to, about this picture right here. What do you think this girl is doing? And someone said, well, maybe, helping take care of the environment by feeding a bird, because that's a bird feeder right there. So, you're helping out the animals in your environment to keep the environment healthy. But I kind of thought, well, maybe she's helping a neighbor also. Like maybe she has an elderly neighbor that she lives next to, and she's helping that person because they can't reach the bird feeder, but it's something they enjoy doing, is like watching the birds feed and helping take care of the environment. So that could be what she's doing, and that's showing respect if that's what she's doing for the environment and for her neighbor. Okay, the first section says respect. What does it mean? So think about that question for a minute. What does it mean to respect someone? Respect means showing regard for the worth of someone or something. It also involves showing regard for oneself, like for your own self. When Leo's high school coach asked him to organize sports equipment in the gym, Leo is glad to help out. Over the years, Mr. Jansen has earned Leo's respect by treating him and other school athletes with fairness and consideration. Coach Jansen has the authority to treat his sports teams fairly or roughly, but he chooses to treat players with regard for their worth. In turn, he earns his players' respect by his actions. Respect for authority comes from understanding that true authority figures take charge of the care of others. Without someone in charge, you can't run a family, a school, or a country. You also gain respect by your actions. When you refuse to be pressured into going against your values, for instance, you send a message to others that you demand their respect. Respect also means showing regard for all forms of property and the environment. Respect for other people's property means your understanding that their property is an extension of themselves. Respect for the environment means you show regard for keeping your community safe and clean. And this is actually something that happened to me this week. I was sitting there reading a book, and I could see out my front window, and the city was out on my street, and they were cleaning up like some brush and some leaves and stuff, and they were blocking the road. So there was a guy that was in a truck that pulled into my driveway, drove through my yard, and went into the parking lot that's next to my house because the road was blocked. So that that's not showing respect for someone's property. That's not city property, it's my property that the guy drove through. And all he had to do was turn around and go around, and there were two ways to get into the parking lot that's next to my house. So, that's a form of respect. Actually, a form of disrespect. Okay, so the need for respect. Respect is the key in all areas of life, from friendships to international cooperations. So you may get a job in your future where you're working internationally, and you've got to show respect to others in other countries when you're traveling or where you're working with other businesses. When people show respect and common courtesy to each other, they help make life easier and more positive. Whether at home, in the classroom, at work, or on the streets and highways, acting respectful makes your world a better place. Have you ever heard road rage before? Well, that's not showing respect. So when you guys start driving, which is going to be in a couple years, believe it or not, make sure you're respectful on the streets and on the highway. Well, hopefully you're not driving on the streets though, or on the sidewalks, but when you're on a road, you're respectful. Okay, the last part says respecting yourself. It's important to respect others and their property, but it starts with you. I think this is number one. You respecting yourself turns into you respecting others. And I think that's so important that I think some people who don't respect themselves and get in trouble and don't do the right things, they don't make the right choices in life, they don't respect themselves. They haven't learned to respect themselves. And that's something important that we need to do, especially at your age and you guys being middle schoolers. Okay, so this section starts out by saying self respect means valuing yourself. And that's what I'm saying, valuing yourself. You show self respect when you treat your own life and body, which I'm on this section here, sorry about that. I get carried away when I start teaching and I forget to scroll the page down. You show self respect when you treat your own life and body as deserving of worth. Caring enough about yourself to be your very best also shows self respect. So does avoiding what could hurt you physically, emotionally, and ethically. And I think that's a very important sentence. So does avoiding, so not doing what would things that would cause you to hurt yourself physically, emotionally, and ethically. That's why it hurts you to take part in self-destructive behavior such as drugs or alcohol. So drugs and alcohol for you at your age is very self-destructive. Like if you started drinking at this age, you're in the middle of puberty right now, or you started puberty not too many years ago, or you just did, that causes your body to not grow properly like it's supposed to. So that's a self-destructive behavior. It's considered self-destructive. And obviously your brain is still developing. So if you decide to take drugs, that could cause your brain development to really struggle and have a hard time. I know actually two people I went to school with, that's what happened to them. They were pretty smart kids, and then they started taking drugs, and now they don't even remember, one doesn't even remember his own parents because it has caused so much damage to his brain. So think about these things, before you start doing something that's illegal. People with self-respect have healthy self-esteem. Self-respect shows in a way they take care of their health, develop their natural skills and abilities, and make friends who bring out the best in each other. So the question I'm going to leave you with on this section is, in what ways have you tried to show that you respect yourself? And some people had mentioned that they don't take drugs, they eat healthy, they don't vape. Okay, so what I've got up right now, and I might be able to get this a little bit bigger. There we go. That's as big as that's going to go. Those are your notes for today. So what you need to do is make sure you look up your vocabulary words and definitions from the beginning of this chapter, and then you also need to write down these notes. So you might want to pause this because I'm going to stop this video.